What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I am so happy because I have a first-time guest on the channel, the one and only Felrus. Felrus, welcome to the channel, man. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, because we just did a collab on your channel talking about relics. So, guys, if you want to check that out, I'm going to link the video in the description down below. Make sure to go give some love to Felrus, another fellow Raid content creator, and throw him some likes and some subs. We were talking about some epic relics on your channel, but now on my channel, we're going to talk about the best rare relics. And they just introduced a bunch of relics, so I'm glad we're doing this because, frankly, I don't even know if I've taken a look at all of them. So this will be really helpful to figure out what might be worth maxing for people. Because surprisingly, and I don't know if you agree with me, I think some of these rare relics actually are worth maxing and actually are worth putting materials into. So yeah, super stoked to get your opinion on this. I know you do live arena on your channel. Just so people know a little bit more about you, how long you been playing Raid for?
I've been playing Raid for almost a year and a half now. I think I'm like level 83 or something. Pretty low spender kind of vibes. And I enjoy, making content and helping people out with their accounts, I never know why someone is playing Raid, so I figure it's always a chance to be a little positive and spread some love in the world.
And I'm certainly known for my positivity when it comes to arena and sheep. Just kidding. So, awesome, man. Well, I'm stoked to have you here. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at these relics. You are the guest. So, yeah, if you were going to pick one rare relic to max, what would it be? What's like your go-to rare relic?
My go-to rare relic, and honestly, I have four that I really, really, really like. All of them are going to be on the list in some way or the other. But my absolute favorite is going to be the Journal of Necrotos, right?
Yes.
Whereas heals and turn meter increase effects applied to allies are boosted by 15%. It's good all around in the game. You can put this on your Senna, you can put this on your Arbiter, on your Podreg, literally on your Esme, right? Literally anyone who is going to fill turn meter, even your Deacon, right, is going to get benefit out of this relic. It's so, for lack of a better term, splashable, right? Both in PvE and PvP. I can't get enough of these things, to be fully honest. They're just that good.
They are fantastic, but also my pick as well, being by far the best rare relic. I use it on multiple turn meter boosters. I have it on my Galathir, actually, funny enough, now, to make sure that I can take as many turns as possible if I'm trying to do speed stuff in arena. So really, really, really viable, and completely agree with you. Useful in PvP, useful in PvE. It's a clear cut above, I think, everything else, at least in my opinion. Like this, like if I'm going to max one thing from rare relics, this is definitely the one that I am picking. So great choice. The only downside, I just wish it had one more gem slot. You know what I mean? That's the one downside to these rare relics. You only get one, but at least you get the circular one, so you can put maybe double down on turn meter boost and put an invigorated in there, and get even more speed. So great choice, man. Great choice. Now I'm
absolutely.
What do I pick? You know what I mean? Like, what's my choice? Let me look through here. Let me read some of the new ones. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Because the thing with rare relics is there are definitely some good ones, but then there are definitely some really bad ones, and we'll talk about those shortly. Oh, this is an interesting one. I kind of think I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm definitely not going over here. I think I'm gonna go with. I'm kind of torn here. I think I'm going to go Malefic Talon, actually. I'm going to go Malefic Talon. I'm torn, but I like Malefic Talon. I have this on a couple of my champions. Now, the downside of this, of course, is it's only a 20% chance to increase damage, right? So only 1 out of 5 times are you getting that bonus 10% damage. But why I like Malefic Talon is I really like this as a stat stick. 40% crit damage is freaking awesome. 104 attack, not bad either. And the chance to get additional bonus damage, hey, over the course of a long fight, not a bad thing whatsoever. But from a stat stick perspective, getting that increased crit damage can really add up. And so I do have this on several of my, funny enough, on several of my HP-based nukers. I think, weirdly enough, my Taurus has this right now because I didn't have anything better at the moment when I threw it on him. But increased crit damage, not a bad thing. What do you think, fellas?
Honestly, Malefic Talon would probably have been my fourth choice, but
Got it.
I do get the value of having that kind of stat stick with the crit damage at 40%, I mean, that's huge, right? Especially if you can absolutely stack whatever stat your damage dealer scales off of. No, I absolutely think it is one of the best rare relics in the entire game, and everyone should probably max it out. No, and just stick it on your nuker,
Yeah.
because I do think it is that good.
So this has me curious. This would be your fourth choice, so it still makes your top four. What's your number two then? Which direction are you going for number two?
My number two is actually in the same Chimera group. It's going to be Tempest Sanguinius.
Okay, so you are going Tempest Sanguinius. This was something I was thinking about, but then I was like, how much? I guess where are you getting the most value out of this? So talk me into this. Talk me into this Tempest.
So I think Tempest is it's very strong on a lot of different champions, especially a lot of different budget champions. So what it does is Ware's turn meter reduction effects are boosted by 15%. So you're basically getting more turn meter reduction whenever you reduce turn meter, excuse me, right?
Sure.
It's not good against, Marius, but you probably want to avoid that at all costs anyways, but it's really good on like your Deacon. If you're just starting in arena or wherever else, and you've got your Deacon, maybe that's your speed lead, maybe that's your turn meter booster. I mean, that's going to be absolutely game changing. It's good on Alice as well.
Sure.
Alice with the AOE lockout and then the turn meter reduction. It's good on Countess Lix. I think Countess Lix is actually a fantastic candidate because she has an AOE triple hit with decreased speed, and each hit also decreases turn meter by 10%, right? So maybe some more niche champions, but anywhere you want that kind of pushback and to slow your opponent down, I think Tempest Sanguinius is probably your best choice as far as relics go, just to give them a little bit more oomph to that.
I like the Countess Lick shout out, by the way. That's really bringing me back. As someone who's played Raid for 4 years, some of these are pretty old school champions. Certainly Deacon has been in the game for forever, but still really viable. Especially if you're not a high spender account, if you're a low spender, free to play, Deacon's fantastic. So yeah, I could totally see that. I think the biggest thing that I look at Journal and Necrotos, and I think we both agree better overall because better to increase turn meter. The one thing that gives me pause with Tempest, where I agree with you that it's definitely one of the four. If you're going to max them, this would be the one. It's just I look at PvP and I look at Stone Skin, right? That's the one downside where you're not going to get the full value out of it because of the fact that Stone Skin blocks turn meter decreases. But I can absolutely see it being used. And funny enough, you mentioned I think Alice. I can't remember if she has this relic on my free to play account, but I know one of the champions. I can't remember which one you mentioned. I think it actually was my Countess Lix has a Tempest Sanguinius on her at the moment to help with turn meter reduction. So that's a really good call out, and I agree. It's actually a really solid relic, especially for a rare. So good choice, man. Good choice.
Now you gotta shout out Lady Kimi as well, right?
Lady Kimi
with all the turn meter reduction would really benefit from a Tempest Sanguinius.
That's absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. A champion that is one of my all-time favorites, by the way. I really wish I saw her more often in high-level arena, but she's basically disappeared. But one of my absolute favorite champions. Now I'm like, oh man, these are the good ones. So now I'm thinking like, what direction do we go here for my next pick? Maybe. I'm just taking a look here. These are the new ones, of course. So it's like, which one makes the most sense? You know what? I am gonna go Royal Digit. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go Royal Digit. Now this is an interesting one because, and maybe I've made the wrong choice here, and we'll see what your third pick is, and you can talk me into where I screwed up. But the one thing about Royal Digit is it looks like it's built for a nuker, right? You're getting attack, you're getting crit damage increases. And so it's kind of unique in that it's like it's giving you a chance to decrease incoming damage. I would much rather see it be like more like Malefic Talon, I guess, as someone who likes the Malefic Talon. But I'm also thinking like maybe there could be some niche uses where you're trying to keep somebody alive potentially, or you're just using it as a little bit of a stack tick on the attack side of things. But I don't know. I'm torn here. What are you thinking, man? What was your go-to?
My next go-to is actually going to be the Molten Deathbell.
Molten Deathbell.
Where turn meter increases by 10% when applying stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke petrification, and sheep debuffs to enemies once per turn. So that was going to be my go-to. You're getting almost 100 extra accuracy, and I think maybe this isn't necessarily as good for PvP, although I certainly can see a lot of PvP applications. Queen of Hearts, for example, would really benefit from a Molten Deathbell. The one downside to it is that it only happens once, even when you're once per skill, even when you're placing multiple debuffs. That is the one downside, but I actually run a Molten Deathbell on my Cryoed in the blue for Fire Knight hard, just for that little extra speed, so that we can get back around to turn meter controlling the Fire Knight over and over and over again. It is lower down on the list, definitely not as good as the Tempest Sanguinius or the Journal of Necrotos. But I think it does a little bit more than just be a stat stick, which is why it's my third pick. I think it's good where it's good and not good where it's not good, you know?
Yeah, I actually think you're right here. I like this one more. I forgot about the Molten Deathbell, and I think you make a very valid point where better overall stats. And, you know, if I could take this one, I'm taking this one back, Felrus. I'm taking this one back. Royal Digit, forget that I ever said this one because it doesn't line up. I mean, to be fair, I did say that these doesn't make sense together, but I think you're right. I think Molten Deathbell is a better overall option. Now, I guess the important question to ask, though, do you think it's worth maxing? Like, I would max a Journal Necrotos without a doubt. But would you max this? Would you max this maybe if you didn't have other options?
Yeah, I absolutely would. Just because, you know, it is that good. I mean, you get extra turn meter fill. I mean, you get up to what is that? 20% turn meter fill?
Yeah, 20%.
I'll take a 20% turn meter fill every time my Cryoden decreases the Fire Knight's turn meter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I run 2 Grand Oak Podrig, so eventually it's like Cryoden's always going to be taking a turn. So yeah, I'd absolutely max it. I think it's definitely worth maxing. Can do a lot of work.
Okay, I like that. I like that you have strong opinions as well, which is always a good thing. Now, speaking of strong opinions, here's the next thing to ask. Is there anything else worth even considering here? Is there any other rare relic? What else do you think makes the list of like something you maybe consider maxing or that you actually see having value? Because I look at some of these others and I'm like, some of these are pretty freaking bad. Like, I don't know. Rod of Blasphemy doesn't really get me going. Maybe it gets you going. I don't know. Some of these aren't really doing it for me. But what do you think?
I think at this point we have to think along the lines of the Royal Digit. In addition to the Royal Digit, it's just a stat stick at that point for your attack-based nukers. And I would actually say the only other one I would consider is the Unholy Grail, only for the stat stick. You know, only for an extra, you know, however much attack you can manage to get on. It's not going to be much, but more attack is more attack on your attack-based nukers. That's the only one I really consider personally. I have this on my Wukong for no other reason than I can stick an Invigorated in there and get a little bit more attack, you know?
Now, would you max this, though? That's what I want to know as well.
No.
Yeah, okay. We're aligned there because I would not max this one because what it's doing is so niche, like 2% more damage under debuffs, not really worth upgrading. But I agree with you from a stat stick perspective. This isn't bad whatsoever, especially for a rare. Yeah. So the other ones on here I'm looking at, I'm like, ugh, just rough. Mask of Rage. I feel like Rod of Blasphemy, Mask of Rage. You know what I mean? Like, what else we got here? The
Item of Undeath.
Yeah, most of these I think are just going to be used for, upgrading, right? That's always the tricky thing where you gotta try to get upgraded. And then these are some of the new ones. I don't know, Black Shroud Fan and Flesh Render, doesn't really get me going. Does it do it for you? Nah, not really, right? Nah.
I mean, I guess the fan can be okay, but it's you're only going to use it on a very specific type of champion, and it's such a minimal damage decrease. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just kind of meh. Maybe I put this on my Korugar Deathbell because he doesn't have a relic. But honestly, he would benefit more from the Journal of Necrotos because he's got that turn meter fill. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't really run it anywhere else. I mean, you could stick it on your Vizix, but she'll benefit more from Tempest Sanguinius because she's got the turn meter decrease on her A1. You know what I mean?
True.
So I don't think it's really worth running on anyone. Maybe one of the epics like Jareg or something, but other than that, it's kind of meh.
Makes sense. There's one other one that I was looking at right now, which is Drought of Ire. And so this is interesting, but there was one champion that popped in my head here. Let's read this one quickly. Where it deals 5% more damage using their default skill when all other skills are on cooldown. I mean, pretty niche, right? Pretty niche. You have to have everything else on cooldown. But then I was like, I wonder if this would be good for someone like a Mashald. You know what I mean? Where that A1 is the main damage dealing thing of that, right? And he gets through his skills pretty quickly, so they're usually on cooldown. I mean, the problem I look at this is the stats are just so like, what were they doing with these stats? Like HP, attack, and
Yeah.
accuracy. They kind of sold on the stats. So yeah, I don't think I would 6-star this either, but it had me interested for a second there. It had me thinking. It had me wondering.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's either all of the rares are either really good stat sticks or food for something else. You know what I
Food
mean?
for something else. Yep. Very, very true. Well, that's a great way to end it. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the channel, talking relics. This was kind of fun just to get an idea of what else is out there, because I think we all think about the legendaries and the mythicals and stuff like that. But realistically, most of what I have is the rares and the epics. So glad we got to talk about epics on your channel. And hopefully this will help anyone who's been trying to think about what to do with their rare relics as they accumulate them from Chimera. Anything else you wanted to share with the community? Do they find you on Twitch or anywhere else besides YouTube?
I may at some point go to Twitch, excuse me, but really I'm on YouTube right now. Felrus, we do a lot of live arena, we do some Hydra stuff, all that kind of good fun.
Awesome.
Have on my channel. So Drock, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here. Very excited to talk with you.
My pleasure, dude. My pleasure. And guys, just make sure to go give Felrus a follow, give him some love. Again, link down in the description, and let us know what you think about the relics. Do you have maybe a different pick than we did? If you did, I'd love to hear why. And check out the epic video on Felrus' channel. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Big Papa Drock. This is Felrus, and we are out.